The great bells of St. Peter's have never seen a time like this. Normally they're rung in their grand chorus only on great occasions: Christmas, Easter, the election of a new pope. But this past week, for the first time, they pealed for the departure of a living old pope. The bell seemed as confused as everybody else. The Catholic Church is an institution founded on faith, but it is also about rules. And there were no set rules about how a pope should leave, let alone move to a hilltop palace outside of Rome. A retired pope now in residence in Castel Gandolfo. Normally the summer retreat for popes trying to escape the Roman heat. But now things are heating up at the Vatican for other political reasons. And the saints who gaze down on St. Peter's may be as relieved as the people working there that the process has now moved to familiar ground: the election of a new pope. It's something Chicago Cardinal Francis George knows about. He is one of the cardinal electors who was here last time. And he says that behind the ceremony and the robes, when the electors file into the Sistine Chapel conclave, there is something like politics as usual.
A lot of people are talked about, and you have the first ballot and you find out they don't have any support. So that's when the rubber hits the road and you're, oh, okay, there they are.
The image of rubber hitting the road in the Sistine Chapel is a good one, so let's stay there for a minute. Does any politicking in the way that we understand it outside of the church context happen?
The headline stories do create the context for our discussion. We follow the press, sometimes happily and sometimes not.
And lately there have been plenty of headline stories for the cardinals to be unhappy about. Longtime Vatican correspondent Marco Politi has never seen anything like it.
You have financial problems, you have problems of image problems, very deep image problems, you have the problems of a sex abuse scandal, and of course this earthquake represented by the resignation, by the free resignation of a pope. This is one of the toughest moments of the church in the last 30 years, for sure.
The next time the bells ring, it will be for a new pope. But with all the cardinals have to talk about, even before they get down to voting, it may be a while before St. Peter's once again hears their glorious sound.
This is Major Garrett in Washington. The federal government doesn't cut spending that often, but when it has, there's been some rhyme or reason.
Where's that money coming from?
Not now. Everyone agrees $85 billion in automatic and across-the-board spending cuts, known as the sequester, penalizes good programs and wasteful ones equally.
We shouldn't be making a series of dumb, arbitrary cuts to things that businesses depend on and workers depend on, like education and research and infrastructure and defense.
Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell.
We all agree it's not the best way to reduce spending, but it's time we did that. Washington has got a spending addiction, and it's time to begin to deal with that addiction.
The spending cuts will hit the White House too. There will be reductions in pay. There might even be forced time off. Positively unheard of in a workaholic place like this. The point is, Washington, to a certain degree, is cutting basic government services everywhere, even here. Education cuts could hit school districts, near military bases, and on Native American reservations very soon. That's because these districts receive up to 50% of their budget from Washington. The cuts could go away if Republicans give Mr. Obama new tax revenue.
And let's be clear, none of this is necessary. It's happening because a choice that Republicans in Congress have made.
That choice? Opposition to any new taxes. Republicans still wince when they recall agreeing to $600 billion in higher income taxes in the fiscal cliff deal. House Speaker John Boehner.
The president got his tax hikes on January 1st. This discussion about revenue, in my view, is over.
There are no new talks scheduled or even contemplated to slow, soften, or redirect the cuts. For those hurt by these reductions, it may feel arbitrary. But in Washington, clearly, it is now intentional.